The following video is meant to be a guide to using the ProVap oxalic acid vaporizer. This is not an official video from the manufacturer, but a quick video meant to help the members of the DCBA use this great varroamite treatment tool. It is up to you and anyone around you to wear the appropriate personal protective equipment known as PPE while performing oxalic acid vaporization treatment to your hives. Proper PPE is paramount in protecting yourself and anyone in the immediate area from the dangers of this process. This video is not intended to be a safety video, but instead a video on the operation of the device. I still bring up safety several times because it is that important. Wear gloves, goggles, and a respirator, not just a face mask.
Okay, here I'm going to drill the bottom board of the hive in preparation to use oxalic acid treatment. Once you drill this for every other future treatment, you won't have to drill it. Unless they propolize the hole, you may have to run the drill bit in to clean it up. If you notice here, this is the bottom board. So we've got the lower brood chamber right below that. I'm at the rear of the hive, of course. I'm going to drill into this piece of wood. So that is right above the floor of the hive. The floor of the hive is where my finger is. I'm going to drill right above it in the middle. Let me do the drill and I'll talk in a second. That's it. I'm all the way through. I'm just going to stick a T in here just so I don't think a bee can come out of there. But when you're done treating the hive, you want to either stick a golf tee in or a screw. If you want to put a screw in there, something that's long enough, it'll get all the way through that board so they don't propolize it for the next year. That is now ready to accept the vaporizer unit. If you do look at the manual that comes with the vaporizer, they say to use a 7/16 diameter drill. To me, that is way too big. I think it might be a typo. I used a 1/4 inch drill. I tested it. It seems to fit the nozzle on the vaporizer perfectly. So again, I'm using a 1/4 inch drill. So this is the applicator or the dispenser in which you put the oxalic acid. You'll see that there's a red line right here. And if you follow that red line up to a number, you'll see there's a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4 on this dial. So to change the position, right now it's set to 1. The 1 is in line with that red line. I have to push down and then I can rotate it. Now I'm locked into the 2. If I push down and rotate, I'm locked into the 3 and it won't rotate. Push down, now I'm locked into the 4. This is how many ounces of oxalic acid you'll be applying per treatment. The manual or the instructions that come with the oxalic acid I have say 1 ounce per brood chamber. So we have 2 brood chambers in here, so I'm going to use 2 ounces. Again, the manual that comes with the oxalic acid treatment says that they heard you should use up to 3 ounces per brood chamber. I'm going with what the EPA says and what everybody else says. We're going to go with 1 ounce per brood chamber. So I'm going to set this to 2. And what that does is that, if you can see the depth of this, that sets the depth there. So there's 2, there's 1, that would be 4, and that would be 3 ounces. So we're going to go back to 2 ounces. So when you see us load up the oxalic acid, we're just dipping this cup into the oxalic acid. That acid will kind of stick into that cup. And then when we apply it, we're pushing down on this, and that will dump that acid into the hot chamber and cause it to vaporize. So you kind of know what's going on there. So here's an example of us getting some oxalic acid. This happens to be in a container, so it's nice and easy. It's kind of like wet snow almost. So I'm just going to stick this in. I'm not going to push down on the plunger. I'm just sticking the whole thing in. And you'll see when I come up, it's got that 2 ounces of oxalic acid. And then once it's in the device, you won't see this when it actually happens. When I hit this plunger, it drops that into the heating element. And now this is clean of oxalic acid. So we're going to go ahead. The unit has not been heated up at all, so it's perfectly cold. You wouldn't want to do this without your mask on if the unit was hot, because when I take this and plunge it in, the moment that I put this into the vaporizer, a little bit of this may fall and cause some of it to vaporize. But our unit is cold, so we don't have to worry about it yet. So the next time you see me, I'll have my mask on and we'll be applying this.
You'll want to put some towels or rags at the entrances of the hives to keep the vaporization in and keep the bees from escaping during treatment. Here I'm clipping on a fully charged battery onto the unit for the first time, and you will see that the set point on the bottom is set to 230 degrees Celsius. The top display is what the actual temperature is. It's 16 degrees Celsius and rising. It'll take a little bit of the battery's capacity to heat this thing up the first time, but once it's hot, it doesn't use up much of the battery. So we're going to wait until the unit gets to about 230 degrees before we stick it in the hive. You'll notice that there is no oxalic acid. The plunger is not in the top of the unit at this time, so we'll stick it in at 230 degrees. Now that the device is close to 230 degrees, we're going to go ahead and put it into the hive. It's a little bit of a snug fit, which is good. Once it's fully seated in there, we can go ahead and take our treatment, the oxalic acid plunger, put it in there and push down on the top. That drops the acid in. You'll see the temperature drops pretty quickly, and soon it will come back up again. And once it gets to pretty close to 230 degrees, you'll know that the treatment is complete and you can remove the vaporizer from the hive. It's normal to see a little bit of the oxalic acid vaporization leaving the hive, depending on how well it's sealed. This hive had a little bit of leakage on the bottom, but either way, you want to try to steer clear of this vapor trail, as this is the part that's a little bit dangerous. So just stand upwind from it and adjust your position accordingly. Kind of keep an eye on the temperature of the vaporizer. Once it gets close to that 230 degrees again, you can go ahead and remove it and then clear the area. You'll notice everybody in the video has safety goggles and a respirator on, even the people in the distance. Here I'm walking around. I'm going to go ahead and recharge the plunger with 2 more ounces of oxalic acid. I'm walking around to the second hive, which already has a hole drilled in. The device is heated up to 230 degrees. I stick the device in, put the plunger in, push the plunger, and we're now treating our second hive just that fast.
Now that we're done with the treatment, I'm going to go ahead and pull this canister out and pull the battery out to let the unit cool. Put it on a safe place, because this device is very hot.
The next quick part of the video will be how to clean the unit after you're done with it. But please note that there is no on and off button on this unit. Don't mess with any of the buttons on the display. When the battery's plugged in, it's on. When you remove the battery, it's off. But it takes a while for it to cool, so don't take your respirator off if you're near it, even while it's cooling down, until it's cooled down significantly, or better yet, just leave the area until it's cool. But please remember the unit stays quite hot for a little while. Okay, let's talk about cleaning the unit when you're all done. There's no oxalic acid being used in this video from this point forward. I have my respirator on still. You'll see that little rubber cup. It comes with the unit. It's about 3/4 of the way filled with water. I heated the unit up to about 130, 140 degrees Celsius, and I applied the water into it. That's pretty much just steam coming out. I'm sure there's some oxalic acid vapor there, so again, wear your PPE, kind of shake it around a little bit. Once the water's pretty much all been turned into steam, go ahead and take the cup off. Put the battery back on, charge it back up, or heat it back up to 130 or 140 degrees, and do another treatment of 3/4 of a cup of water. And after that, let everything cool, and the unit is clean. Again, make sure to wear your PPE. As far as cleaning the plunger, I just used rubber gloves and rinsed it out with hot water in the sink. Now for a couple bloopers for your education. I had gone about an hour between treating the hives and trying to clean it with the water, and what happened was the nozzle got clogged up with some oxalic acid that dried up. I think that if you try to use the cleaning method as soon as you're done treating the hives, or if the unit is completely cool, maybe shove a toothpick into that nozzle to clear out any acid, you won't have the problems I had with the tops popping off due to the nozzle being clogged.